I saw a video today posted by a channel named Jon Del Arroz, and it was entitled Authors Furious After Being Scammed by a Book Conference with No Readers. I'll post the video link below so you can watch it and subscribe to his channel. In this video, I can tell that Jon, as well as many of the authors who felt scammed by the conference, all seemed shocked by the gall of these conference promoters who would do something like this to authors. I used to be a small fairy doll maker and also a mold maker in a past life. I went to several scams of this nature, but in my field, they were called arts and crafts shows. It took me about 3 times to figure out that these were nothing more than a racketorium. That's what I call an arena that is disguised as a promotional sales venue that appears to be set up to help fellow artists who always need marketing opportunities. What tipped me off was when I realized that the promoters overcharged for the tables or booths based on how many people showed up and the average ticket price for any and all items that would be sold that day. Another tip regarding this is that when they call your table space a booth, that means you're really getting screwed. For example, they would sell a table space in a strip mall for about $150 to $200. But the really slick promoters would call them booths and would start the fees at about $250 and up. The corner booth, which they claim gets double traffic, which is nonsense, were always at least double the price. Even those crafters who sold a few items, it never made up for the table, booth, and or travel expenses. Aside from ripping off all the artists, they would put a ticket price to enter the show, which was more money for the promoters. This money coming from the attendees, this wasn't shared among the artists, but again went into the pockets of the promoters. And the really slippery promoters would then hire their son or nephew to set up a valet parking station outside the venue somewhere to park cars for only a few dollars. Plus, of course, the tip on the way out. Then inside the venue, there would be a food cart or two. These people probably had to pay money for their booth too. Again, this profit also went to the promoters. And because there was no competition for food, the food vendors would charge at least 3 times what any of the food choices were worth at any other time. I think they call it paying for convenience, but I still call it gouging. So by the time the customer gets to your booth, they have been scalped by the entry ticket price, the valet parker, and the food booth gouger. So by the time they come around to your table to hopefully buy something, some of them have already spent their $20 for the day or the week, and they wind up being lookers or window shoppers and not buyers. If you do make any sales, the only money the shoppers have is whatever cash is left in their pockets or their budgets after they get to your table. Putting aside the super wealthy, the millionaire and billionaire classes, there is only so much expendable income that each person has at the end of any given day or week. And in today's world, after exporting every decent job to a third world nation that have none of those pesky OSHA workplace safety rules or regulations, or any of those draconian workers' compensation laws, or people who are so dirt poor that they are willing to work under the slave master conditions promoted by globalist billion-dollar companies, many people have barely enough to buy a lipstick or a comic book. So by the time they get to your table, they've probably already spent the $20 or $30 just entering and walking around in the Racketorium, with all the voices shouting over one another with book marketing tips today. My advice to new self-publishers is that when readers are looking for a new book, especially anyone under 50 years old, they go to Amazon or some other retail platform. Now, maybe they will stroll into a brick and mortar bookstore if they see one, but generally, most readers go to Amazon or one of the other platforms. In my humble opinion, for whatever it's worth to you, it would always be better to buy Amazon ads than to pay for travel, hotels, and food on the road to attend one of these crazy book events. Now, there are two exceptions to this rule, and that's where you go to a conference for reasons other than to sell a lot of books. There are other goals that can be equally as life-changing to any new or self-published author that I'll go into in my next video, so be on the lookout for that. Now, for anyone who is still watching and listening to this video, first of all, I want to thank you very much. And if you could give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel, that would be even better. I'm going to leave you with a panel of all of my books that are available for purchase on Amazon.com, and I'll see you in the next video.